Cinema Sunrise Extras, our live streaming after show we do every Monday through Friday morning right here at 7 a.m. If you are new, we are in total fire coverage, you guys, with wildfires, dozens of them burning across the West, a lot of them in Oregon here, and we are awaiting, I might be hearing it now, and if so, can we pull that up? A live press conference from Washington County Sheriff's deputies who are getting ready to talk to us about what's called the Chehalem Mountain Bald Peak Fire. This is our live picture there, so we'll see when that sheriff's deputy pulls up in front of the camera. But we've been watching this scene from Sky 8 all morning, and our helicopter is headed right now from there to Washington County. So we lost that live picture, but the video was crazy. Bright red flames burning in the forest. Brenda, you know this area. This is where you get your Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I saw one of the little streets up there and I'm like, oh, now I totally get where this area is. Rod, can I bring you in? Because I thought you did a masterful job of really explaining why this is a historic weather event that is fueling these crazy wildfires, which we are not used to. I mean, it's fire season, yes, but there are some factors that have come into play that make this different than anything that we have seen, certainly in my lifetime.
A couple of things, Brenda. Number one, I'm not going to ask Rod Hill in June anymore how bad fire season is going to be, because we saw this week that it takes one day to make fire season terrible. We had that terrible wind event on Monday. Rod, we do want to get some more information from you, but the fact is we actually have a live interview right now. Brian Clerkley has been live in Clackamas County for us all morning long on one of those new fires that has just broken out overnight. Brian, I believe you have someone from the fire department there that can talk to us and update us on the conditions there.
That's right, Drew, and good morning. I have Brandon Paxton. He's with Clackamas Fire right here. And Brandon, tell us a little bit. We're off of Highway 213 right now. We've got some charred cars over here, and we have a fire right up there. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Sure. So just before 11 p.m. last night, our crews were called to the area of Highway 213 in Spangler. So we're just about 10 minutes outside of Oregon City to report of a car fire on Highway 213. It appears the car caught on fire and it spread across the median and extended into approximately 10 acres of brush, burning two structures.
And were those homes or sheds, or what kind of structures were those?
The early reports said they were homes. Our firefighters did evacuate 3 adjacent buildings and were able to keep those families safe, and they are now back in their homes.
And what did you say was the hardest issue for firefighters when it came to fighting these fires?
Sure. So if you take a look outside, it's very, very windy still. And our firefighters are working hard to put these fires out. But what the wind is causing is that problem with the fire embers. It's picking those embers up and traveling those a great distance, making it very difficult for our firefighters to stay ahead of the fire. Additionally, we're getting stretched thin on resources, and so we're doing our best to manage all the incidents that are occurring.
And what would you like to say to people who live in this area who might not have evacuated yet, or just people that are watching us right now?
Sure. So I think the best thing at this point is to understand the evacuation levels and what those truly mean based off where you're at. There's some great resources at Clackamas County. There are online resources, but really knowing what you'll need to take in the event that you need to evacuate. So what those steps mean, and taking the time to get those belongings gathered before it's really too late.
And you said that resources are stretched kind of thin. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, we have a number of firefighters throughout the county who are working on a number of incidents. And these are very labor-intensive calls, and so it takes a long time, and so our crews are really working to pinpoint which calls need those resources most.
All right. Is there anything else, Brandon, that you would like to add or that you would like to tell people about these fires?
Sure. Not necessarily specific about the fires, but it seems like very common sense. But really, open flames, cooking outdoors is really a no-go right now. Not a good idea. It's simply not safe. So please do your neighbors and our firefighters a favor and just really refrain from doing that.
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon Paxton with Clackamas County Fire. So you heard. So first of all, is this fire out over here though, or?
So we will notice that the fire is still burning within it. So our firefighters built a really good line around the fire, and it's the fire that you see burning will eventually burn itself out. But that's our crews put a good line around it, and that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you so much, Brandon. So you heard him, about 10 acres burned over here off Highway 213, and this was started by a car that caught on fire. So this is information, the latest information from Clackamas County Fire. Drew?
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for all your coverage there. What I was hoping, I don't know if Brandon is too far away because I know he is so busy.
Yeah, grab him real quick.
If you're able to grab him, call back over a couple of more questions. Just because, number one, there are so many fires right now in Clackamas County. I know it's hard for us to keep track of, certainly if people aren't familiar with this area. So can you ask Brandon to explain to us where at exactly, like how close are we to I-5 or I-205 there when we talk about Highway 213?
How close are these fires when we talk about Highway 213 to Highway I-5, Interstate 5, and Highway 205?
205 would be the closest main thoroughfare. I-5 is a bit more of a trip away, so we're a bit of distance. Again, I would guess we're about 10 minutes by car from Oregon City, and the Clackamas Community College would be a good landmark for point of reference.
And Brian, his fire chief is going to be speaking today, I believe, at 10 a.m., Chief Charlton. Talk about, the big headline was everyone in Clackamas County is under level 1 be ready orders. How historic is that, for this city and in urban areas?
How historic are these fires? Everyone in Clackamas County is under a level 1 evacuation right now. How historic is that? Has that ever happened before?
So winds like this is big for this area, certainly west of the Cascades. As you and I were talking briefly earlier, fires like this tend to occur more on the east side of the mountains, but to see this on this scale is really something that I certainly haven't heard of.
Okay.
All right.
So that's Brandon Paxton. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and that's how it happens. An RV, just sparking it real quick. We've seen so many fires happen like that, and the wind just carries. We are on the other side of the metro area. We are awaiting a press conference and new information on level 3, that is go now orders for the area north of Newburgh. It's called the Chehalem Mountain Bald Peak Fire. This is a live picture from Sky 8. They have just been bouncing around, showing us all kinds of different areas across the metro this morning. And just that orange sky, again, a lot of you guys are waking up to this morning, seeing some really sad stories here on Twitter of people, particularly down near Medford and the town of Talent and Phoenix, where the mayor says many businesses have burned down overnight. I saw an entire mobile home park. A lot of families living in there burned to the ground yesterday. This is the Blue River Fire in Lane County. This is the highway, if you go to Duck games and you live in Bend, or you go along the Mackenzie River, that beautiful area east of Springfield. I have a family friend that has a house right on the river there who are evacuated, and many homes have burned there. We've heard reports that maybe people have lost their lives and couldn't get out in time. Others were rescued by fire crews there, but it just happens in a split second.
Yeah, it really does. I want to bring Rod Hill back into this conversation because one of your big weather headlines was what the smoke was doing to our air quality. Not just here and to the north of Portland, but down south. A lot of people are going to be wondering about that because it's not really clearing up today for a lot of folks.
No, it's not. I'm having trouble getting through on the latest DEQ website for air quality alerts. A lot of traffic probably, but the last time I looked, there's basically, these air quality where it's really bad, they're tied to where the cluster of the large wildfires are. So there are a couple large wildfires down around Medford. They have unhealthy to hazardous air quality. We have now wildfires from the White River Fire in Central Oregon, just south of Mount Hood, that extends down to the Holiday Farm Fire. That's along the Cascades, but on the same latitude as Eugene. So that entire area from Salem down through Albany, Eugene, and into Newport, they continue to be under this big smoke plume from the Central Oregon fires. And there are areas, especially around Albany this morning, where the area is considered to be hazardous. That's the worst on the scale. And get this, a week ago, there were, count them, 2 large wildfires across Washington state. Now there are roughly a dozen across eastern Washington. And all of that fires is now, with the northeast wind, all of that smoke is now moving through Cowlitz County and is now moved into Ridgefield and starting to move toward downtown Portland. We have unhealthy air quality up in the Ridgefield, Washington area now. Portland's kind of in the sandwich where it hasn't been that bad the last 2 days, but it could worsen today. And real quick, just because I don't want to say this is fun. Let's say it's interesting, okay? Brian, take the weather maps, if you will, and I've circled Denver, Colorado. So why do we get east winds? Typically, we get strong east winds in the winter. And it's when we get these cold Arctic air blasts coming across Montana and the upper Midwest. Well, we got this unusual snap of cold Canadian air coming down this week that's producing light snow and 32 degrees in Denver, Colorado right now. That's crazy early for that. That's helping set up our east wind flow pattern, which is producing all the smoke and the bad air qualities and the wildfires, because east winds are the worst thing you can have in terms of something that really increases wildfire danger. And in the 20 plus years I've lived here, we've never had an east wind event like we had on Labor Day during wildfire season. This is the pinnacle of wildfire season right now. And it almost turns us into California. California, they get those summer Santa Ana winds, they get all those summer wind patterns, and it fuels their fires. We don't get that. Well, we got it this week. And now really, if you think about it, we become California, at least for the time being.
It looks like
our east winds will totally shut off on Friday. They'll totally shut off on Friday, and we look for some improving weather conditions this weekend, and maybe even some light rain to start next week. Back to
you know what else my producer is just telling me that the Canby School District and Lincoln County school districts have canceled their online classes today because of various situations related to the fires. But those are coming in. We also want to send it over to Chad Dehart. He is in Washington County with one of the public information officers there. Chad, can you go ahead?
Cassandra? Yeah. Go ahead, Chad. We're listening if Cassandra kind of wants to tell us about the fire.
My name is Cassandra Ulvin. I'm a chief officer with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. We're here at the scene of a fire that's been burning between Newburgh and Washington County here near Bald Peak. We have currently not gotten the fire under control. However, firefighters have managed to protect all the homes in the area. We have had 3 barns lost as a result of the fire, but fire operations continue with a priority on protecting structures here nearby.
Anything you want to really get out to the public?
You bet. So a lot of folks have been evacuated from the area. Unfortunately, they are not going to be able to return anytime soon. The fire behavior remains unpredictable. As you can see, it's very windy, it's going to get hot again, it's dry, and we do not have this fire contained. So people are not going to be able to return to their homes. We're also getting a lot of calls to our 911 center. People are reporting the orange glow in the sky. People are reporting smoke and haze. We really need for folks to not call 911 unless they have a confirmed emergency. So we are not currently doing any additional evacuations in this area, but people living nearby need to be prepared in case those conditions change. So thankfully, we haven't had any residents hurt as a result of this fire. No animals have perished as a result of this fire. As I mentioned before, no homes have been lost because firefighters have been able to protect those. But it remains a very tenuous situation, and we don't want folks to be in harm's way.
Good deal. Hey, Chad. Cassandra is with TVFNR.
Oh,
go ahead.
Have a name for this fire. Our fire commanders are making that decision right now. But we are really hoping that we can get the upper hand on the fire today, and we will continue to provide updates, especially if additional evacuations are needed.
So TVFNR is a municipal fire department. They cover a lot of property. You guys are trained, obviously, in wildland fire, but are they, Chad, can you ask her, are they just doing structure protection now, or do they have any wildland crews on the way to this one?
Are you guys just doing structure protection right now, or do you have any wildland crews on the way?
We do have both. Our priority is on structural fire protection. The fire was burning in a lot of timbered areas, a lot of canyon areas that are hard to reach. So the priority is just to make sure that that fire does not encroach upon structures. So there are areas that we're not specifically, extinguishing, but we're doing our best to keep it from getting close to any of those structures.
Chad, can you ask her, do they have an acreage estimate at this point?
Do we have an acreage estimate at this point?
We do not have an acreage estimate at this time. We're working to try to determine what that is. So we'll be able to provide that update later this morning.
Some of the most dramatic pictures that we saw this morning came from Sky 8 there above this fire. Can we quickly just ask Cassandra, how big of an area are we talking about? Because, from the ground where you're at, Chad, with her, we can't really get the scope of how large this fire is.
Acreage-wise, we really haven't seen the scope of this.
Yeah, we don't have a true understanding of the amount of acres that have burned. And part of that is because, as I mentioned before, we've got a lot of canyons, we've got a lot of hard-to-reach areas. So we will hopefully get a better sense of that as day breaks and we can see it. We're also going to try to recruit KGW to help us with a helicopter to see if we can get some eyes from the sky that would really help us get a better sense of how much progress we've made overnight.
Very interesting. All right, Cassandra Alvin with TVFNR. Thank you guys so much. I'm just kind of going through the comments here on our Facebook stream as we watch Sky 8 live there. Heidi Lindstead, we are so sorry. She says, our house in Phoenix is gone. We are homeless. We barely made it. The house across the street from mine was in flames. We drove to Portland last night. So Phoenix is down near Medford, you guys. They drove all the way to Portland last night and they couldn't find a hotel until 3 a.m. And she was responding to another person who said, Elisa McBride, my daughter and son-in-law lost their home in Phoenix yesterday, made it to Corvallis at home with me last night. It's sad. They just got married 3 months ago.
Oh, I was just talking to a gentleman from Mahama, and he hasn't been able to go back to his home yet, but they fear that it is burned to the ground. And he has had that for a couple generations. He and his wife built it up, and their children have great memories there, and their grandchildren do. So it is really, when you talk about these fires roaring through, he could just grab, literally, because the sheriffs came to his door at 2 a.m., he could literally just grab a few business things and hard drives, and a lot of those precious memories from his family, if the house was taken, are absolutely gone.
A lot of people were asking which fire was Cassandra Alvin talking about there live in that interview. This is the one that's burning between Newburgh and Farmington. It's called the Chehalem Mountain Bald Peak Fire. It's fairly new. I believe it started yesterday. There are level 3 evacuations for a lot of little streets in and around there. We've started this fund. If you're watching this and you're okay, you're safe, and you really want to help, because people, we're in a pandemic. People have lost their jobs. Now they're losing their homes. If you want to help, pull out your phone, open the camera app, and just show it to this code there on the screen. It'll pop up a link to the Red Cross website where you can donate directly all of this money, and this very specific fund, it's called the KGW Northwest Response Fund, will go to these wildfire victims.
Yep, we just activated that fund. What makes this incredibly hard to cover is the fact that it's so widespread, so many different parts of our area. Yesterday at this time we were talking about Salem, the Salem area being hardest hit by the wildfires, and that is still a situation there in Marion County this morning for sure. But now we're also talking about Clackamas County, the entire county being at some level of evacuation notice. It may just be one, but you're still, if you live in Clackamas County, you are at least at a level 1 evacuation notice right now, which means be ready. Many areas in Clackamas County at 2 or 3. Yeah. And if 3, it means get out. And again, we have the fires that we just talked about on the ground in Washington County. So it's not like we could just pull our resources together and cover this one major event in one spot of our area. They are happening all throughout the viewing area right now.
So I'm looking at some of the comments on the Facebook stream, and Willie Huey makes a good point, saying basically that there are a lot of people who need their animals housed out on these farms. If you have large property, please consider homing these dogs and small livestock that are displaced. We saw ranchers going out there and getting sheep and horses and that type of thing from his neighbors. So everybody out there is doing the best they can to pitch in, but that's a great point, Willie, if anybody else can help.
And sadly, a lot of times the animals are the reason why people stay longer than they probably should on their properties, right? They don't know how they're going to get all their animals off. They don't have the resources available to immediately get out, so they think, well, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to protect my animals as long as I can, and hopefully hopefully that's not a situation that any of our viewers are facing right now, because that is obviously terrible. We're hoping that if you do live in an area that's in an evacuation 3 level, a level 3 evacuation that is, which means get out now, that you're getting out now. Law enforcement already talked about the fact that they can't make people leave, they can only encourage them to do so, and it definitely puts a strain on fire officials and law enforcement when people go against those orders and try to stay put and fight the fire themselves.
Yeah, we want to end with, you're seeing these viewer pictures sent in to us, and this really helps us kind of cover such a wide area and just see what you're seeing. You can text those to us really easily from your phone, 503-226-5088. We take photos and videos, and we can kind of compile them in this gallery to get a better picture. So you guys, we're going to keep monitoring this. Stay tuned for live updates on social media and here on air. There's going to be several press conferences planned for today. For now, we have to go. Please stay safe and heed all warnings. We'll see you soon.